Well, good day, CRC family. What an incredible honor to serve under the leadership of Pastor Art and Pastor Nareta. We have seen and heard the most incredible testimonies of God's goodness in the lives of so many people. What an impact CRC is making through CRC Cares and feeding the poor. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 19 verse 17, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. We encourage every business and every businessman to partner with us as we take on this need. It affords us the opportunity not only to fill a belly, but to connect with people spiritually. Thank you, Pastor Art, for the opportunity to introduce today's leader with Sean, Dr. Becky Mfeka. Dr. Becky is an economist and advisor to the presidency. The Bible tells us in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, "For I know the thoughts and plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a future and a hope." Today, Sean speaks to Becky about future investments and post-lockdown outlooks. So you hold on to the promises of God and believe Him on His word as we hand over to Sean for today's discussion.
Good afternoon. Today we are speaking to Dr. Becky Mfeka, who is the founder of SE Advisory, the CEO of SE Advisory, and Becky is a advisor and a strategic advisor. Welcome, Becky.
Good day. Thank you.
So I know you've been on the TV and on the radio and speaking on all kinds of interviews in the last couple of weeks about the pandemic and about the economics of the pandemic. What is it that you feel you are repeating often that our business leaders that are watching this video should know about?
I think what's coming quite often is the issue of structural reforms in the country. As you would know, that the structure of our economy requires serious attention, and also the issue of state-owned enterprises, which are really a major cause of our ratings downgrade. And all those issues affect businesses. If you look at telecom, the issue of load shedding and how it affects our businesses. And through God's grace, we are able to influence our political leaders to think in very much aggressive ways of really implementing all the recommendations we've been making on how to turn around the SOEs, so we can build the capacity of our economy, industrialize faster, and assist the entire continent.
Now, I know that you have experience in small enterprise development and incubation over the years. Where should our business people that are looking for opportunities, where do you think they should be looking? I mean, what is it that you've noticed that you wish more people would be aware of?
Well, it's very interesting that the developments in Africa, actually Africa is the last continent that still has big opportunities awaiting. As you would have noticed, lots of things are happening. For instance, infrastructure, it's big in the continent. Your energy, green energy, lots of institutions all over the world are coming in the continent. With the Free African Continent Free Trade Agreement, you'll find those things moving quite faster because we need to connect as a continent, whether it's ITC, your fiber optics, your bridges, your roads, electricity. Those things are moving quite fast. Everybody, international finance institutions are putting all the efforts, your multilateral institutions, your organized businesses all over the world are coming over to tap on those projects. If we had time, we will dwell on each specific. But because of our broadness of our audience and our viewers, we cannot zoom into specifics. But it's a plethora of opportunities out there.
Are the opportunities in Africa only for big businesses, or can small businesses also participate in these projects and in these market explorations?
Because there is an imperative, a global imperative. I sat on the group of 20, and we push hard that multinational companies create linkages with small businesses.
Like partnerships.
Create partnerships in global value chains. So as big companies move into Africa, there's an imperative to create linkages, partnerships with small businesses. As you would know, Africa is predominantly small businesses that are playing, with a few big companies that have been there for a couple of years. So there are a lot of opportunities for small businesses to organize themselves and build their capacity and create those partnerships. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, in your capacity as a business person yourself, what timelines are you keeping your eyes on at the moment? Where are you looking in terms of your own planning horizons for your business and for the projects that you are planning?
Well, it's in South Africa. You're looking at, for my situation, I'm looking at tapping on local economic development, where, for instance, the president has introduced the district development model, which means that all arms of government and agencies, your finance institutions will focus on district levels. So there's an opportunity for us who are consultants to support those. For instance, I've been asked to look at the OR Tambo district municipality in the Eastern Cape, because you need a new viable economic model. And we're looking at what they are doing in Howick, a small town in KZN. They call themselves Love Howick, which means it's a peoples-based type of development model, where they encourage investment in infrastructure, in retail and tourism in their own area. Then they partner with different institutions. So the local level development, I think, is key for our investment and for attraction of investment. So that will be. In the continent, there's so much with us as South Africa, having been appointed as the Secretariat for African Continent Free Trade Agreement. We are looked upon as people who must initiate projects. So we will have to, come up with innovative ideas on how we make the free trade agreement work in our continent. So I was already thinking on such projects. I even spoke to you, remember, that what can we propose out there to assist our General Secretary to come up with projects that will stimulate trade within the continent, build institutions, and as well as come up with technologies that can be applied in the continent in the immediate and long-term future.
Okay, so you're basically thinking in the medium term, your local economic development opportunity in the Africa is a medium to longer term. What are you paying attention to right now in the next couple of weeks, as we now have the risk-adjusted strategy announced by the presidency, and we have, we can see the lockdown is going to be changed going forward? What is it that you're paying attention to right at this moment that you think business people should prioritize?
Well, I think remodeling the business is very important. We're realistic that the environment is changing rapidly. Some people are talking about a contactless environment.
Okay.
We need to come up with, ways of doing business without less contact. And for instance, as we're communicating using Zoom and Skypes, that's going to be the order of the day. and we have to look at online opportunities. Actually, a friend of mine told me that the online world is 4 times the real world now.
Yeah, we'll talk about the digital and the analog economy one of these days.
Yeah, so I'm looking at those areas, and pretty much soon, within a week or so, I'm launching one product. I've bought a very expensive camera, which my son is testing as we speak.
Very good. Yeah, it's good that you experiment. Becky, now tell me, for people that want to read up and that want to get a little bit more exposure to the opportunities in Africa, what are some of the keywords that they should search for? Because I know that there are some, keywords and key institutions that people should follow. If you could just quickly, in a few lines, tell people what is it that they should search for.
I would encourage them to follow the development finance institutions like your African Development Bank, your World Bank, and many other institutions that are busy in Africa, because they have their feet on the ground and they have the capacity to absorb risk. And if you want to invest, you follow them, and there are quite a lot of. They're working on much data at the moment on specific projects. So if you follow them, whether it's in property or whether it's in energy, power station, refineries that are happening throughout the continent, you are able to get closer. Locally, the Public Investment Commission, the PIC,
yes,
has got the mandate to go into Africa. They also have a pipeline of projects they are working on, in different sectors, and they also have the ability to take risk. So if you follow those big institutions, you are able to assess the risk easily because of the work they already put in place. We're also looking at the what you call project preparation facilities in the continent. The African Development Bank has those facilities. The Development Bank of Southern Africa has those facilities. IDC, to a certain extent, the Industrial Development Corporation has those facilities. So if you follow those institutions, you are able to have a good assessment, and you then follow it up with your business network that are already in the continent, and they are doing tremendous work, and you are able to, for instance, our retail sector is very strong in terms of the logistics and infrastructure. They have an understanding of the cost of doing business in Africa. Your ShopRite and Massmart are very strong in the continent. So they give you a true assessment of risk.
Very good. I think we've reached our 10-minute level. So Dr. Becky Mfeka, I just want to thank you for your time this morning. And I think we'll have you back on to talk a little bit about the political economy, but that's for another day. So just thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you to Pastor Ed for this opportunity as well. Thank you.